Welcome to Soundbreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Rufy Anam Ghazi, who is the digital operation manager at Amra Music and also a music tech consultant and a researcher in the music business. I like that. Usually AI, people say I'm a AI research or data research, but she is very unique. And a DJ. Yes, DJ. I like that. Rufy, thank you for joining us today. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, could you please give us a small introduction of yourself before we really dive into it? And it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. My
My
name's
pleasure.
and I'm based in London at the moment, originally from India. Been working in the music industry for about 8.5, 9 years. And yeah, I think we'll talk more about it as we go on. But yeah, this was like the quickest way to introduce myself.
Amazing. Rufy, I usually ask my guests, I say, hey, what really made you carve your own path in the music business, got you into that direction or that path of being in the music industry? But you were a civil engineer.
Yeah.
So I cannot even go back to your teenager and say, hey, what got you into the music business? Hey, my parents, I was part of a band. But no, you were a civil engineer. So how did you switch from being a civil engineer to being in the music industry?
Right. I don't really get to talk about this a lot, but so
Uh-huh. Well, now's your chance.
yes. Yeah, so I have a bachelor's and a master's in engineering, particularly civil. Not a very unique story. Dad was a civil engineer. Got inspired by him. He was my hero model, role model. So yeah, I decided to just follow him and got my degree. Even worked in a Forbes 500 real estate agency for 3 years. Why I switched? Because I absolutely did not like what I was doing. And yeah, I mean, music was always my passion. I thought I was only into it as a fan, but then started to see some opportunities that I could also, you know, look at it as professionally. And yeah, I mean, I guess being in India, there was no particular guidance of how you can pursue music as a profession. I guess that's why the easiest way was to just follow my dad and do what he's doing. But then once I was out in the world, I saw that, yeah, there are options to also pursue this professionally. And yeah, it was just like, I had to do it. It was just like
Well,
nothing.
when it comes to music, India is massive. We both know
Yes,
that. Yes.
yes,
And it's huge.
definitely. It's grown massively over the past five six
Yes.
years. But I guess when I was starting out and when I had to sort of like decide what to study, music was like probably on the last.
Well, now you're based out of the UK, correct?
Yes.
When did you make that move? Say, you know what? I want to move to the UK from India, and that's where I'm going to pursue my
Yeah.
music passion.
Yeah, I moved here exactly a year back, 29th of July. So I guess a year and 1 month. I always wanted to move here. This was like on top of my list since I started working in music for many reasons. I guess London is such an incredible place and the business is growing here so massively. All the big labels have space here. So this was some like a if you were asking me like 5 years back, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would say London. I always wanted to move here. And I worked for about 7 years in India in the music industry. I thought it was time for me to experience a new place and grow my career somewhere else. And London was my go-to choice because yeah, I was always wanted to come here. I'm glad.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how your experience so far, I guess from what you're saying, it's been great since you got to the UK and pursued your music career.
Yeah. It's been actually not all that great.
Not as easy as you thought.
Yes. I mean, it's actually crossed all my expectations. I have just absolutely enjoyed my time here. To make myself feel grounded, like now this is home, that obviously took a really long time. And
Yeah.
especially because right after moving, 5 months into my move, I was made redundant at the company that got me to London. So I was on a sponsored visa, and
Hmm.
the company decided to shut down. And yeah, so my I lost my visa.
So how did you secure your global talent visa?
Yeah, so that was a blessing in disguise, actually, I would say, because when I got to know that, like this is it, either I go back to India or I figure a way out. Global talent visa came as like
A
the
gift.
best, yeah, a gift,
Bless.
a blessing. It was a really intense process to get the visa. You sort of have to like prove yourself to the UK government that you deserve to be in this country and you're a talent, and you have to be endorsed by this endorsement body called Technician. So it was a really elongated, intense process. I had to get reference letters written from multiple people and submit my documentation. But yeah, I had no choice because I was very, very sure that I want to be here. I became obsessed with the fact that I am not going back. And yeah, just within 3 months, I had 3 months to sort of secure a new visa. And yeah, just like head down, make my application, submit it, and just get it done. There was nothing else that was like on my
Amazing.
mind. I was pretty focused. Yeah.
Wonderful. And you just once you done that, you decided to do a transition from the in the music business from the artist side to
Yeah.
the tech side of the music business and the music business now actually. If you want to say the music business, you cannot just say that. You have to say music tech because tech becoming the biggest driver out of the music business, the biggest. So what drove you to make the switch?
Yeah, I mean, so when I started my career, I started as an artist manager, and most of my initial roles, like I worked at VH1 and MTV, I worked at TikTok. Uh,
That was back in India, correct? Yes.
yes, yes, that was in India.
Got it. Yeah.
So most of my like initial roles were very much like artist relations and programming and management. And I guess the first switch was when I moved to ByteDance, when I got a job at ByteDance, and within like I was hired for artist relations and programming, and but within like 2 months, I was moved into a more like product ops role, and that was like the initiation into this tech side of things. We were building like virality tools for TikTok, and doing a lot of building like a lot of music discovery platforms that were used internally at TikTok and Resso, which is now called TikTok Music.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was like a transition, and thanks to ByteDance, that now it sort of like I carved my path into that side of the business rather than being on the other side. As much as I enjoyed working with artists and really understood how their creative brains work, I absolutely love being on this side of the business. And there's so much innovation going on. I mean, like I'm always
Correct.
excited and thrilled and enthusiastic about this side of the space. Yeah. So yeah, that was the.
Yeah, I mean, ByteDance, which owns TikTok and Risso, they really kind of, how should I say, make their mark in the music business. Definitely, they took it by storm. It's still for now, but there'll be new technologies coming up, way of consuming content and music, but it's kind of the new way of experience where people like
Yeah.
being the creators themselves, being the artists themselves, and just the whole immersive kind of experience. It really kind of took it by storm, and I see that kind of set you on the path of being in the music tech side, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, being working there, working at ByteDance, and which is on TikTok and Rusan, you saw a lot of the innovations. And
Yeah.
what's your thoughts? The future of the music business, as you saw how TikTok changed everything, and but not yet to a degree where we have the regular standard digital music consumptions, whether it's Apple or Amazon or TikTok or Spotify or Deezer or Pandora and all of that. What's your thoughts on that? What do you think that what's the future holding for us as far
Yeah.
as consumption? Because the regular young consumer, they no longer enjoy that type of listening. That's why they go to TikTok because it has
Yeah.
that experience in it.
Yeah.
but now they need something different. I think it's going to more way more advanced of
Yeah.
music consumption and content consumption.
Yeah.
Please.
Totally agree. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was actually going to say, that the current user has so many more options than just, going to a streaming platform. There are so many different ways, like short form videos such as TikTok and Reels, like they have become so popular because it's just a completely different way of consuming music. And then there are like these fan groups and exclusive platforms that are particularly for a group of super fans. So the options today are so many. There's metaverse, that's like a whole different world altogether, so it's exciting. And I think the most interesting part for me is that the consumer is so open to exploring these new technologies and sort of going on the journey along with the founders and the people who are actually creating these technologies. The consumer is willing and open to exploring it. So I think that's like the like hope that you just have to keep innovating. And there are people who are willing to go on the journey with you. I think that would be one thing for me.
Do you think that the current streaming platforms that we all enjoy and listen to,
Yeah.
would they adapt new ways of kind of for the consumers or for the users or subscribers
Mhm.
of consuming music, kind of emerge to the new immersive technologies that's happening these days and being built, adapting mixed reality in it, which is the metaverse. Everybody, there's a couple of different names for it, and having the users become the actual artists themselves and the content creators become, or the consumers themselves or the users become the creators. They become the stars by being involved
Yeah.
in the songs that being put out by
Right.
some of the big
I
artists
mean,
out there.
yeah, I mean, it would be it's a great opportunity for the current platforms. And I think a few have already started going onto that direction, like Spotify.
Like Spotify.
Spotify has been Spotify is putting videos up on on the app, which is sort of going into that direction. But I mean, I would be more interested in
But
something.
putting in videos is not the thing because YouTube always has the videos. So
Right.
it's not
But I
like we
guess
never seen.
integrating some visuals. I
Yes.
guess visuals are just a lot more engaging consumption
Yeah.
method as compared
Correct.
to just audio. So I
Yeah.
guess Spotify is sort of diving into that and tapping onto that. But what I would be more interested in is like just a new space that can become as prominent as Spotify. That could that
The new wave experience, I think it's going to be, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
and if like all the elements from Spotify, TikTok, and Reels and something like Patreon can be combined into one platform, like that for me
Correct.
would be like the epitome of consumption. Where
Wouldn't you say video games already have it?
yeah, I mean that
They have
industry
that.
is that industry is far, like it's quite ahead of us,
Yes.
and something that I guess a lot of music entrepreneurs are taking inspiration from. The
Yes.
way gaming industry has engaged the users is I guess on top. And yeah, they have been doing that's like a whole world that keeps its users intact because they have found the best way possible to keep them engaged. uh, and yeah, like in my head, if we could also pick the best elements of Spotify, TikTok, Reels, and Patreon into one, that for me is like glorious.
I mean, adaptive music, that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, like what reaction is
Where,
doing, reactional music. It's so fascinating to me that you are
yes.
creating something live. It's like real time. You're creating music bases the movement in a virtual space. It's so exciting and engaging that someone's movement in a virtual space is creating music in real time. Like that's far ahead. And yeah, I mean something like that within, which is more audio specific, more music specific, something like that would be pretty epic. But because I think reactional is more in the gaming industry.
Cool. Interesting. Let's talk about your experience and what have you gathered from it? You worked with two startups. You worked for Kiki and Metaverse Music. I assume these were in India or in the UK? India.
Madverse is based in India, and Kiki
India.
is
Kiki in the UK. Okay.
yeah.
Please.
I think that just the energy of working at a startup is thrilling. I guess that's the word, because you're at the verge of creating something really incredible. Along with that, you have the risk of it might work and it might not work. So that, like that balance of, so I mean, in my head, it was always like, oh, I'm part of this revolution. These guys are doing something really excellent, and I want to be a part of it. And to be able to sort of like work in that environment where you are using technology to push the music industry forward, because both these platforms were doing something really unique. uh, that was for me was the most exciting part. What I learned from it is the industry is really complex. Music industry, its ways have been set in stone, which are really difficult.
I wouldn't say complex. I would say, my own opinion. I do
Yeah,
respect what you said. Not to. I would say the music business is old and does old practices.
yeah,
And any interruption,
yeah,
it's it kind of doesn't it ruffles everybody's feathers, and they don't want that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get.
But the powers to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It, it's in my head. It's been like just day before yesterday. I was working on something, and
Mm,
I got to know that the first PRO was established in 1914,
yes.
ASCAP, and BMI was established in 1939. We are in 2024. We have still been sort of following the same traditional methods that were initially built, but but we have come a long way. Like so many new genres have been invented, so many new methods of consumption and distribution have been invented, but the system that is supposed to support it is still old and like hasn't really updated itself. So it's really, I guess that's why it makes it exciting that you want to do something in this really complex space, but then soon you realize, oh, I think we went too far ahead. Let's back up and rethink our that without taking names. Like that's what I think that happened with a few startups that I was involved with. Like the
Mm.
idea was incredible, but the system that we are working within, it will not let that idea sustain, and it's really unfortunate. But it's just how it is. It's, I guess, it's the reality of the industry. And hopefully, I mean, there's always hope, and I guess there we evolve.
Well, the only way to change it is technology, and technology is evolving so fast right now, so fast that it's absolutely forcing, putting the pressure on to change. And I could see it. They don't want it because you have, the major labels, the big artists, the big management companies, they're all involved. And then you have the streaming platforms. It still to them is one of the major ways, or the main ways to make money beside touring and merchandising.
Yeah,
And, and that's the only way to get content out there to the consumers through the platforms.
yeah,
Whether it's, you have so many, you have about 250 or 150 legit streaming platforms out there
Right.
across the world, and that's the only way. So but they always need to maintain something to keep it. But it's hard when new technologies is coming in and moving extremely fast. I'm not talking about
Especially
AI.
evolve. I mean,
Yeah,
there is no way you can. You have to move along with
yeah,
the this revolution, the evolution of the industry. And
yes,
the most important thing that I think is that the we artists are the center, the backbone, everything of this industry. Like
yes,
we
yes.
are the entire business is centered around.
Without the artist, there's no music business,
There's
obviously.
literally no business.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
And I don't want anybody to say, oh, you got AI. No, AI is not a threat. It's just a new technological tool that it's an enhancement tool for the music business,
it's
for the music
supporting the
side,
creative.
the tech side of it. Yes. To me, it's not replacing artists. No, you always had modules, you had samplers in the studio, you had machines that it has all kind of drums and sounds and
Electronic music,
loops.
electronic music was invented in
Yes.
the 1970s.
Yes, this is all. I had a studio back in the days in New York. I remember every 6 months there's a new module, new sampler, new sounds, and
Yeah.
so to me, it's not. The AI is not a threat. AI actually is an enhancement tool, and it's more in the logistic and in the tech side, not replacing artists, but the actual technology I'm talking about. It's the new way that we go into. First it was the stores, and you still had to buy the cassette player, the turntable, the CD player, and all of that. Then came in, the recorders, the duplicate cassettes, and duplicating CDs, and all of that. Then went to digital, downloading first, and from downloading to streaming. But what's next? That's the new era. I think this is where the music business doesn't want to get their feet in it because
I mean,
it's a muddy space.
adoption
Yes,
of everything took so long. It
yes, yes,
There were people were
yes,
sued. There were court cases.
yes.
Adoption takes time.
I would say 5 years from now, you'll see 3 to 5 years, we'll start to see on a commercial level new ways of consuming music. Yes. And as you said, my dream is to see all of these new ways of that emerging together, or immersive technology from the metaverse, or you call it mixed reality, to adaptive, to what do you call adaptive? You call it,
Real time reactional music.
yeah, reaction music. And it just, and I think, as I said, listeners and fans, viewers, they are going to become the new creators, the new stars. And let's say there's their favorite, there's a new song coming up with one of their favorite artists. They want to be part of it. They want to contribute to it. They want to, and I think that's what's going to be the new ways. Yeah, there'll be certain platforms that allows you to do that, and many things. Like how TikTok came in and changed everything by a storm.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Let's talk about your role at Amra,
yeah.
please. Yes.
Sure. So I am the digital operations manager at Amra, and
Mhm.
Amra is a collection society. It collects globally from various DSPs. So it's a global rights management society and collection society. I have been working with for about 5 months, and yeah, my role is maintaining a cordial relationship with the DSPs, making sure our operations are running well internally, and how we work with the different DSPs. And it's pretty exciting. I mean, firstly, like getting to work with DSPs from all over the world. So like obviously Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, but also we just got Zing MP3, Angami. These are very like specific to a certain market. And yeah, just ensuring that artists are getting paid on time, the distribution is happening, the right amount of money is flowing through the right channels, and yeah, learning so much about the publishing and licensing side of the industry. I never worked on that part of the business, and yeah, so like there's a lot of learning for me. I guess this part of the pie is, according to me, the most complex. The publishing and the amount of acronyms that we use. It's yeah, getting to learn a lot of acronyms of these societies. So yeah, it's very exciting. I'm very happy to be in this company. And
Amazing. You've been very active on LinkedIn, and a lot of your posts been perceived really well, I would say. And you're constantly posting stuff for the past year and a half,
Mhm.
and also your Billboard articles has been making its rounds. Let's say, what motivates you about the current music tech startup landscape?
Yeah, I started doing these product posts about like in February last year, and just realized that people were engaging with them really well and had a lot of questions and a lot of interests. I think the first time I sort of interacted with like a new business was in 2018 when I got to know about Museo, Chartmetric, BandLab, and I have been sort of following this a music tech startup revolution since then, and so much has happened. I guess nobody was talking about AI back then. In 2018, not as much. I guess Museo still was,
Hmm.
but now like that's become the central technology everyone's talking about and embracing.
Museo
Yeah, Museo, which is now with the
with SoundCloud, yes, which founded by Hazel
Soundbreaker.
Savage.
Yeah,
Yes, amazing person.
yeah,
Yes,
she's incredible.
yes.
Yeah, so I guess that's when before that it was all like swap, like we were not really talking about startups. I guess for me the first startup was like Chartmetric and Museo and BandLab, and then since then I got excited about like, okay, these new companies are doing really well and I want to know more of what's happening. And yeah, it's been keeping my head down and just discovering, going to a lot of yeah, attending all these panels, attending conferences, attending networking events where I meet these new founders and people who are actually doing the work and coming up with these incredible ideas and executing these incredible ideas. Yeah, and I guess that's where my motivation comes from as well, because I'm just like super excited and very enthusiastic about these startups popping up and working on that's where the Billboard article came from, and it's on this particular topic of what is happening in the music tech startup landscape. I wrote that with Drew Thurlow. I think who
Drew.
he has been on the
Yes.
podcast.
Yes, he's been on a
Yeah.
podcast, and we started a smaller, well, not shouldn't say small, it's new podcast. You call it podcast show
Oh,
called,
amazing.
Pitch Your Startup.
Nice. Yeah.
Yes,
Amazing.
yes.
Yeah. So I wrote that with him, and which talks about how that
Yes,
firstly,
he does a lot of articles for Billboard.
right,
Correct.
right.
Yes, about
So this
startups
one,
and all of that.
yeah, this one we wrote together, and it basically talks about how a lot of layoffs happened in the past 2 3 years in the music industry, and how that resource that the people who were laid off have been like fueled into this other side of the business of this like people coming up, people creating their own businesses because probably they were laid off, or and also like technology is readily available, so people are making use of that and implementing these incredible ideas. And yeah, if you see my posts, I've spoken about how merchandising, their platforms for merchandising. I absolutely love this one startup that I came across called Softside,
Yeah,
which it's a merchandising platform, and you can give your idea for you can present your design on the platform
and to
for
get it out there for you.
and then they'll make it into whatever merchandise you want. So like
Amazing.
artists, like the creators, the fans are actually interacting directly with the uh, creators and the artists, and collaborating to make something for everyone, for themselves, for the artists, for the fan community. So yeah, things like that like really excite me about what's happening. Yeah.
Amazing. Rufi, how do you stay ahead of it? How do you stay, ahead of the trends and innovations in the music tech side?
Right. like I was just mentioning, I'm very much involved in the community space. Love going to networking events, love going for conferences, participating in panels. Also a nerd, so I read a lot, blogs on Chartmetric and Water and Music. I guess Billboard, digital music news. Like I'm always sort of reading on these platforms, on these publications, and yeah, I guess it all comes from this excitement and this love that I have for the industry. I don't think I'm going to get ever bored because there's so much going on. And obviously, like I love music itself, not just the business side of things. Like I'm a DJ, love going for events and gigs. So like it's a combination of all of that that just keeps me excited and enthusiastic. Yeah.
Let's talk about your research work. You worked for research for NIDIA, am I right? NTIA,
Yes.
the Toll Room Academy, Kuvu,
Yeah.
and you're currently working on reports for ASLIC, am I right?
Yes, slice.
And the night, yeah, S-Slice.
Yeah.
Oh, A-Slice. Yeah, S-Slice, yes. And the Night League.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that is again comes from the fact that I just love to know what's happening, and then I love to share. I guess that's how I got into the research side of things because I was already researching so much in the industry for myself, reading and writing about it, and then why I was like, why not share it? And that's how I met my mentor, David, who runs this company called Audience Strategies. And I consult freelance with him as a music expert. And all these research reports that I've written or co written have been with him. And yeah, like on such diverse topics. Like the NTI report was on the economic impact and the cultural impact of electronic music in the UK. Then the one for Tool Room was for how artists, how like up and coming artists can follow certain strategies to sort of elevate their career. And yeah, the current ones are A Slice and the Night League, which are also very diverse. Like the Night League one is very specific to the party destinations, if you may say that.
Yes.
So party destinations of the world. So we've like handpicked 6 destinations which attract people from all over the world specifically to go and like visit these places because there are clubs and parties. So it's like all these research reports are like very diverse, very exciting. I get to speak to so many people from around the world for my research. I get to interview them, write about it, and yeah, and myself, like I get to learn so much from these people that I speak to, from these articles that I read for my reports. So yeah, all in all, like it very very exciting
Y-
thing.
You also done research for Asian music markets, for Gig Life Pro.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anything that stands out in that research for you?
Yeah, I've written like 12 reports
Hmm.
on like markets like New Zealand, Australia, China, Vietnam. And the one thing that stands out is that there's a lot happening in non-Western markets.
You're becoming a music scientist there from all this research you're doing.
I know. I love that actually. I could call myself a music scientist.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for that.
There's the word musicologist,
Oh
and
yeah,
now you're a music scientist. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I
I don't
guess.
want to say Scientology, music Scientology, but
Yeah, I love
that's
that.
a religion now. But yeah,
That seems like a cult to me. Like it's like you're talking about a cult.
yes. So we'll keep it as just a music scientist.
Yes, music scientist is better. Yeah, I mean, the most exciting thing about these Asian markets that I did was that there's so much going on in these non-Western markets. The Western markets are sort of like, I guess it's becoming better, but for the most part, hasn't really paid any attention to what's happening in Vietnam or Malaysia or I don't know, like India. But there is these markets are growing and there is such incredible
Yes.
artistry and just people doing great things, underground music, as well as like the mainstream. There's just so much going on. And all of these markets are so unique, like Japan and China. All of these markets are so unique, and they absolutely do not work how the Western market works. You know, China doesn't even have Spotify, and Spotify is like the biggest streaming service in the world, and China doesn't even have it. And China
But
is,
they have their own. Which platform
yes,
they have? They always have their
it's
own. Yeah.
Tencent Music and NetEase.
Which one?
Tencent,
Jensen. Oh, Tencent. Yeah,
Tencent
yeah,
and
yeah. Tencent.
NetEase.
NetEase. Yeah. Correct. Yes.
China is like the top in the top five global markets as per IFPI, and it doesn't even have Spotify. So that says a lot, right? So yeah, there's absolutely there's a lot of exciting things going on in which are in places that are not UK and not US and not Germany. Yeah.
What advice you would have for upcoming people who's going to be inspired by this amazing interview on Soundbreaker, or viewers and listeners will say, hey, you know what? Rufy carved her own path. She was a civil engineer. Then she then later decided to follow her passion, and she did. And she's rising and shining in the music business and the music tech side too. What advice you'd have for them? People who's going to follow your footsteps, be inspired by you, want to carve their own path in the music business. Yes, you're an icon now. People are going to look up to you.
Music scientist. I mean, just stay disciplined. There are a lot of ways to, get. You can lose your focus. There is enough. There are enough ways that can sort of lead you on a path that you don't want to follow. So stay disciplined. Stay focused. Have a shield, which just lets you walk on your path, and you'll make it happen. And never like reach out to the people. Like I have always never shied away from writing a message to someone that I really look up to and appreciating their work, and just asking for a chat. And most of the times people have been kind enough to like speak to me, even if that was just for like 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So don't shy away. Reach out to your the people that you look up to, and just stay out there. Like, don't be shy, don't sit at home and like do your thing. Be out there, like meet people. There's a lot of there are so many nice people who are willing to help in this industry, so make use of that. Like, talk to people, learn from them, listen to them.
Hey,
Yeah.
very positive personality, positive outlook, nothing negative. I like that.
No.
I like that very much. Yes. Stay positive. I think that's the key
Yeah.
for our music scientist, Rufy over here, and a DJ. Rufy, what's next for you? Anything coming up that you want to mention before we wrap up this interesting, insightful, motivating, inspiring interview?
What's yeah, I mean, I'm working on these. First of all, like, Amra is still new. I've been in the
Yes.
company only for 5 months, so I'm
Yes.
really hoping to keep doing the good work and keep learning about this publishing and licensing side of the industry, and
Yes.
move forward within the company, and
Great.
do some good work. And as well as like my other thing, the research work that I'm doing, meeting more people in the UK. I'm still pretty new here. It's only been a year.
Yeah.
I want to get more and more, I guess, grounded and involved within the UK
More.
music industry. And yeah, don't want to forget home. India is home. So yeah, like, also want to, yeah, stay connected with home.
Good.
And yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank you for joining us today. And this concludes today's episode of Soundbreaker. Please make sure to follow us on socials. Stay tuned for new episode. And thank you very much.
Thanks
Thanks
so much.
again.
Bye.
My pleasure. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.